There are now 5 Anaconda movies. There's obviously the original that started it all with Jenny from the Block and Ice Cube. And of course, everyone's favorite, Anaconda, Trail of Blood. We even have a spin-off, Lake Placid versus Anaconda. Apparently, Anaconda goes up against an entire lake. It's quite the film, I'm sure. But today I'm only going to be talking about the new one with Jack Black and Paul Rudd called Anaconda, of course. I'm going to get into it in a spoiler-free review right now. In a world full of remakes, reboots, sequels, sidequels, and everythingquels in between, we have another sequel slash reboot slash meta comedy off of the original with Anaconda. A movie that's very much in on its own joke, but is it funny for everyone else? Well, that's the question I plan on answering today. But first, I would love if you join me for future videos by subbing to the show, Adam Does Movies, on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you watch or listen. I'm surely around that area. I would appreciate it. It's free of charge. Now, even though there's nothing original about taking a horror classic, throwing a little spin on it, I guess Anaconda's a horror classic at this point, odd to say out loud, but regardless, what is a little interesting and unique about this film is it's a comedy first, with splashes, I suppose, of horror, but do not go in expecting some awesome slasher. Don't even go in expecting one with some unique kills, because unfortunately, you're not getting it here. Instead, you are getting your tried and true patented Jack Black singing randomly, making crazy sound effects. Honestly, what I do here on this show is no different than what he does. He just, he's talented and has millions of dollars in his bank account, and I am on a YouTube channel. Anyway, let's move on. Besides those obvious parallels, this movie also hits me, and I would imagine plenty of others, a little bit closer to home when you get into the plot, where we follow Jack Black's character Doug, a struggling filmmaker who sadly finds himself with a B+ life, his words, as he's become nothing more than a videographer for weddings. Equally disappointing, but in a different way, is Paul Rudd's character, Ronald Griffin. Griffin starred in a few episodes of a popular TV series, but outside of that, he's really not been able to break the mold of Hollywood. Instead, wishing he was back with his friends in that butt-fuck town where they grew up in, making their amateur movies. Well, after retaining the rights to Anaconda, he's gonna make that dream a reality. Head back to that small town, get the gang back together for a birthday party, and they are off to the Amazon for a 3-week shoot where they can make a spiritual successor to Anaconda. Like 30 seconds ago, I mentioned how this is relatable on a different level. I think for plenty of folks out there, they are unhappy with where they currently are in life, or they wish they would have done A or B or C or Z at this point, depending on what a colossal failure you are individually. So seeing a movie like this where these guys do take a chance, they drop everything and they go make the movie they wanted to make all those years ago, it was a very fun, refreshing idea that definitely lasts for a good 45 minutes to an hour. Unfortunately, there's a good 40 minutes left after that, where the movie tries and stumbles to introduce 3 or 4 different plots and twists and gotcha moments and barely any snake action, unfortunately. I saw this movie with my 13-year-old son. We went in thinking this would be an entertaining, all-right movie, and that's exactly how we left it. It wasn't terrible, it wasn't great, it had entertaining moments. There is a lot of humor. Not all of it landed for us, but of course, comedy's subjective. It's tough to do, it's tough to pull off. I do find Jack Black and Paul Rudd to be very funny, very likable. Here's really no exception. I'm still not over the Jack Black shtick. I find his sound effects and his zaniness to work. Helping matters is you have Steve Zahn in here as a supporting role. He gets a little bit of time to shine. He's perfectly fine as well. Then there's Thandiwe Newton. Haven't seen her in a minute. She's perfectly fine. Just kind of a pleasant, straight person of the group. Doesn't bring a lot to the table, certainly no comedy there, but she gets the job done, I suppose. The actress who plays Ratcatcher 2 from the Suicide Squad's also in this. She looks fantastic. She has a B plot that's pretty messy, doesn't really mix in with the A plot that well, but it's gonna run throughout this flick, unfortunately. And I gotta tell you, the opening segment is brutally bad. It's just a massive swing and a miss. I bet this scene in the movie is a fake Anaconda film that Jack Black and Paul Rudd are watching together. It'll probably be like Anaconda 7 or something. No, that was setting the table for that B plot to continue. And the first snake attack comes out of nowhere so quickly, you don't even have a chance to take it in, really. It's just bam, it's here and it's gone before you know it. And that, I guess, is my biggest issue with the film. There is some good heart in this movie. There is a decent concept here, and the comedy works more than it doesn't. What does absolutely miss, though, is the snake kills. They're terrible throughout the film. Not helping matters is this is a PG-13 flick instead of R, which was a big mistake. You go R for a film like this. You ratchet up the swearing, you ratchet up the adult situations, and you absolutely ratchet up those snake kills. Instead, it's just a mediocre series of the snake wrapping people up and pulling them underwater. That's about it. I don't even have to watch the original Anaconda to remember the iconic kills in that flick. The movie's awesome. It's schlocky, the CG's terrible, but in a fun way. And unfortunately with this film, the CG's kind of bad, but not in a fun way. Because the Anaconda's barely present until the final act of the film, and by the time it shows up in all of its splendor, I don't really give a shit. And for a movie that clearly is in on its own joke, there are several moments of the flick where they talk about how lazy it is to reboot another movie or make a soft sequel or whatever this thing is supposed to be. It still does all the same tropes we've seen in the last decade. The random slow pop song that gets infused throughout the film. The ignorant protagonists that don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. And the worst offender for me is the overcomplicated plot, where every 10 minutes things have to come to a screeching halt so the heroes can have a conversation revealing some big twist in the plot, which just derails things further. Had it just been a bunch of friends going out to shoot an Anaconda movie, a real Anaconda attacks, and they have to survive, that's more than enough. And unfortunately, the comedy can just not sustain the hour and 40 minutes it runs. All that said, my son Connor asked me, Dad, what are you going to give this on Rotten Tomatoes? Are you going to give it a fresh or a rotten since I'm certified or whatever? And these are the types of movies that I have a hard time with. These are the ones that keep me up at night. I'm sounding more negative than positive, so I suppose I would lean more rotten than I would fresh. However, this is a movie that squarely for me falls in like a C- range. Like, it's just getting things accomplished. It's entertaining enough if you have nothing better to do. That said, I would not spend money to go out and watch this film. Movies are expensive for most people in most theaters. You're gonna run $11, $12, upwards of $15 just for one ticket. That's what it ran for my son. Then I got one soda and one slushie. That was a total of $17. That was after using my AMC Stubs card where I get 10% off. Oh, thanks for the 10 fucking percent. $17. That's criminal. So I spent upwards of $30 to see this movie. If I had to pay for myself and I didn't have the Stubs pass for the monthly deal, it would have been closer to $45 for Anaconda 2025. I would have rather paid to watch the original again. And so there you have it, a very mediocre film, a little bit of fan service sprinkled throughout, definite tips of the hat to the original film. I don't know if any Blood Orchid representation was in this one from Anaconda 2, everybody's second favorite Anaconda film, of course. But no, this one didn't do much for me. Let me know though if you saw this one in the comments below. Again, think of snaking on to that subscribe, latching onto it with the old fangs on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. That way you won't miss a future video by me and I would appreciate it. All right, that's all I got for you. Hopefully I see you next time. Take care.